What up, guys? It's your girl Amy, and in today's episode of Growing Pains, I'm taking it back to high school. You're gonna hear a short tale that includes friendship, betrayal, and revenge. There's also a couple of heroes in the mix. I'm naming names, so stay right there. So this story takes place at Fort Hamilton High School around 1987, 88, around that time, right? I was talking to this guy named Jay, and he was relatively popular in the school. A lot of people knew him. I liked him. He was, very cool. And I started talking to him probably mid-year in my first year in Fort. Anyway, my girls, they knew that I was talking with him, but it wasn't like anything official. One of my girls, Terry, she didn't like him, not one bit. She was telling me, like, watch it with that guy. I heard that he's a player, and be careful with him. People been saying stuff about him, and I was just like, you know what? I don't listen to what people say. All the way he treats me is all that matters. Blah blah blah. All that silly stuff. Cause I really liked him. I thought I was in love with this dude. We talked every day on the phone, and he drove me home on most days. Actually, he drove me and Terry and my other girl Ada home frequently. Because I had a car too, but there's another story about my car. I won't get into it right now. Anyway, so twice a week he would drive me to night school because I was taking classes in New Utrecht where I had to do credit recovery. Another story. And I frequently used to have him drive me and Terry and Ada home. And at one day, I'm gonna fast forward to this one day where it was Valentine's Day. So I went down the way I usually do, and on this day Ada didn't come to school, and I don't know where Terry was. So I just went. It's Valentine's Day, so in a way I didn't really want them in the car with me and him because I thought we maybe would make out or whatever. So I went downstairs and I didn't see his car, and I hadn't heard from him. Back then, I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that. A few people did. So I probably had a beeper or something. So I waited a few minutes. I didn't see him. I asked a few people, have y'all seen Jay? Y'all seen Jay? His sister-in-law was my girl, Yvette. And I asked her for Jay, and they were, some people, I'm not gonna lie, they were a little peculiar. It was like, oh, I thought I saw him. I guess he left. He left. Anyway, so I linked up with a few friends who were also going to Utrecht, and we jumped on the train and got there. And we were waiting outside for the night school bell to ring. And this girl who I knew from Fort, she stepped up to me, and I'm not even friends with this girl. She was like in my art class. She goes, oh, that's messed up what your girl did. And I was like, what you talking about? She's like, your girl Terry. And I said, what happened? What she did? And she's like, oh, she's talking to Jay, right? And I'm like, what? Talking to Jay? No, she can't even stand Jay. Yeah, she been talking to Jay. Like, a matter of fact, they left together in his car today. I'm like, you must be mistaken. That can't even be real. She's like, for real. So like that, my mind started spinning a little bit because I realized that lately when Jay's been dropping us off home, he actually been dropping me off first, talking about, oh, she lives on the way. So I was like my mind started calculating this, like, oh my god, I hadn't even realized that this was a possibility, and all of a sudden it became very real to me. So I couldn't go to school. I went home, immediately went home to my block. And when I got to the block, my bros were outside. I won't name them because they ended up committing a crime that day, but they know who they are. So I was crying. I was like, this girl, this, you know, Terry, da-da-da. And they knew her because she was like my best friend, one of my best friends. And they're like, you know, you think he's still with her? So they're probably on the date. It's Valentine's Day. He probably got her flowers and candy and all that stuff. I was so pathetic. This was so crazy how much I was hurting over this. Anyway, they were like, let's go over there. Let's go to her crib. He might be there. And I was like, for real? So we jumped in my two-tone car with the multicolored doors, and we drove to Senator. That's where she did, on Senator. You know who you are, girl. So lo and behold, his little white hatchback was right in front of her house. So I saw it. Like, I saw it and my eyes swelled up, because it was one thing to think something might be happening, but right there I was receiving confirmation. His car was right there. He was definitely up in her house, and God knows what was going on in this. So my bros were like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. They said, drive up the block, meet us on the corner of 5th. And I'm like, what's going on? What you gonna do? Just drive up the block. So they jumped out the car and I drove up the block, and I kid you not, before I got halfway up the block, I heard the sound. Boom, 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 boom. It sounded like 4 explosions. Not gunshots or nothing like that. My bros were not gunslingers, but I heard some noise. And all of a sudden, I could see them through my rear view mirror running up the block, and they jumped in the car and they were like, go, 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 go. And they were cracking up, and I'm like, what happened? What happened? So when we did the turn on Senator and 5th towards my house, I said, what'd you do? What'd you do? And they explained to me that they had given Jay a Valentine's gift. They gifted him with 4 flat tires. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. 4, like, you blew his tires. Yup. So we drove to the house, and I'm not gonna lie, I was still hurting because, well, for a lot of reasons. You got your friends which you trust and love, and you can't really understand when they betray you. It's not comprehensible. And then you have all your feelings about, like, when you think you're in love, and now you have to rethink whether or not that was real. And so I was going through it, but at the same time, you know, hearing them talk about the excitement of what they did, I was low-key doing the happy dance in my head. Like, you know what? Maybe he had a good time with her. When he came outside, he had a call a tow truck for sure. 4 tires, you'd call it a tow truck. So the next day, I did go to school, and to be honest, I never really addressed Terry about the situation. Actually, she and I just ceased to be friends at that point. And when I think about it, I realized that we had some mutual friends who had to sort of decide who they were sticking to, because there was no way that she and I could be friends again. So some people made some tough decisions, and as far as him, I saw him in school the next day also, and he kind of looked at me. He sized me up and down, and we didn't really talk. I didn't say anything about it. I kind of smiled at him, and I suspect that he suspected that I had something to do with it, but how could he pin it to me? There was absolutely no way. That wasn't the era of cameras or all that stuff. Never in the history of this event have I ever owned responsibility for what happened, and until today. So what I learned, I learned some things about friendship. First of all, you know, at a young age, I realized that you have to be careful who you trust and confide in with your deep secrets. You have to be careful with what you're sharing, because honestly, in the beginning, she didn't like this guy. She really didn't. I spent so much time talking about how amazing he was towards me. I swear I sort of sold him to her. I'm not making excuses. I'm just realizing that I contributed to that. Not to mention that dragging these girls along with me every single time I was with him and having him drive them home too. Why? That was like silly mistakes. And I learned something else about friendship too, which is that true friends ride hard for you. And that day, my bros, they didn't care. They saw me hurting and they wanted to give me some relief from that pain. And I must say that it did work. They did make me laugh. And even many years later, we're talking about, you know, right now we're looking at like 30 something years later, I still smile when I think about that. And whenever I've had occasions when I've brought this up in their presence, which for some reason now they have amnesia, like they act like they didn't do that, but you know you did. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that first installation of growing pains, and more stories to come.